I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Music Theory Tuition series where I work with you step by step through the ABRSM Discovering Music Theory grades. I'll work through every single exercise and explain everything you need to know. You can access information about the books I have available to help you on my website. Go to sharonbill.com. For advert-free and longer lessons, you can become a patron at patreon.com/SharonBill. If you can give me a like, that would be super, and please do subscribe to my channel to stay updated. You can support this channel by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/SharonBill. Let's continue on to page 42 of the Grade 4 Discovering Music Theory workbook, and we're now going to look a little more closely at intervals, and we're going to increase or decrease these intervals by a semitone even further outside of major and minor. And before we get really kind of into this topic, it's just helpful to have this little reference to hand. We know that we have major intervals, and when these are made smaller, they become minor intervals. So as we get greater and as we get smaller, major means greater, minor means smaller. We can increase this again by chromatically altering this interval by raising it a semitone again, and this is called augmented. And actually that makes sense. We augment things, we make them bigger, we make them greater still. And if we want to get smaller still by making it a semitone even smaller, it's a diminished. We are diminishing, making it smaller. Now, when we have perfect intervals, we don't need to bother with major or minor, it's just perfect fourths, fifths and octaves, but we can still raise it by a semitone, so we can still have an augmented fourth. And if we want to make it smaller, we don't do minor, there is no major minor, but we can go straight to diminished by making a perfect interval a semitone smaller. And so if you see this kind of raising and lowering, so a minor interval made a semitone bigger is a major interval. A major interval increased by a semitone is augmented. An augmented interval, a semitone lower is major, a semitone lower is minor, a semitone lower again is diminished. And then we just go straight from perfect to augmented or diminished as we raise or lower that interval. And so it's really interesting to just look at that. And this is where you need to be careful because, for example, C to F is a 1, 2, 3, 4. C, D, E, F is a 1, 2, 3, 4. C to G anything is a fifth. C, D, E, F, G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. However, C to F sharp and C to G flat looks like it's the same interval, and so be careful if you're just counting semitones, because you've got to make sure you've explained properly whether it's a fourth that's been raised or a fifth that's been lowered. And so here we see an F sharp, C to F sharp is a perfect fourth raised, so it becomes an augmented fourth, augmented. And here C to G is a perfect fifth, and the G flat means it's a perfect fifth that's been lowered, and so it's a diminished fifth. They both have the same number of semitones, and so that's good as a double check if you need it, but it won't tell us the actual interval, so you need to be very careful with that. However, I think if you've got this little sort of diagram in mind, then it's pretty easy to just add on these extended semitones. We're just chromatically stretching or shrinking the interval even further. Now then, is it true or is it false that a diminished fifth is one semitone larger than an augmented fourth. Well, we've just looked at that, haven't we? A diminished fifth and an augmented fourth is exactly the same note. It's an enharmonic equivalent, but it's representing different intervals. This is a fifth of some sort, this is a fourth of some sort, not at all the same interval, but they are the same distance apart. So that's false. Is it true or is it false that an augmented fourth is one semitone larger than a perfect fourth? Well, we've just seen that, haven't we? A perfect interval raised becomes augmented. And so that's true. Is it true that a perfect fifth is one semitone smaller than an augmented fifth? And we've seen that an augmented fifth is a perfect fifth raised by a semitone, and so a perfect fifth is indeed one semitone smaller than an augmented. Augmented means we've raised that perfect fifth by one semitone, so that's true. Now, is it true or is it false that an augmented fourth is one semitone larger than a major third? Let's have a look at that. So an augmented fourth, let's just create one of those. So we have C to F, that's a perfect fourth, and then if we raise it, there's our augmented fourth. And then we need to compare that to a major third. So we have C to E is our major third. So what's the distance between E to F sharp? E to F sharp. It's actually a tone apart, isn't it? Not a semitone. It's a whole tone apart. And so that's false. Now, is it true or is it false that a diminished fifth is one tone larger than a perfect fourth? Let's have a look at that. So a diminished fifth, so if we're in the treble clef, a fifth is from C to G. That would be a perfect fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And a diminished fifth is a G flat. And then a perfect fourth is C to F. And so what's the distance between F and G flat? F and G flat is only a semitone apart, not a tone, it's a semitone apart. And so that also is false. And that's that page nicely completed. I hope this is helpful to your studies. Please do like and subscribe to stay updated. If you'd like to support this channel, you can buy me a coffee, and for advert-free lessons, you can become a patron. Do visit my website where you'll find many resources available to help you. Visit sharonbill.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.